to today's cooking class. My name is Ricky. I am today's chef, and I welcome all of you to today's class because it's actually very exciting for me to actually be able to showcase today's recipe. So a little bit about myself. I won't talk about myself too long. I was born and raised in Spain. I actually, as most of you I think, I have an engineering background. I actually have a master's in engineering, but after I finished my master's, I was like, I don't think engineering is the right path for me. So I ended up going to cooking school, and this is why I'm here with all of you today. And so today we're going to do a recipe for rice dumpling, as all of you have probably all prepared all of these ingredients in front of me, and we're going to make this rice dumpling recipe, which is probably a very straightforward one, not too overly complicated. And you know, rice dumpling is actually not just something that's just for certain given holidays. It's actually something that you can, you know, have in your freezer, and then from time to time, when you actually want a rice dumpling, you just pop it in the microwave, pop it in a steamer, and just eat it any day of the week. So actually, before we move on to the cooking, first of all, I want you all to hopefully enjoy the whole process of cooking alongside with me, and I hope that all of you also not only enjoy the cooking, but enjoy the whole needing to cook, and maybe in any day of the week when you feel like cooking, you can look back at this experience and make you want to cook. So in terms of the rice dumpling culture, before we delve into the actual hands-on stuff, actually I did a little bit of a research, and I think you'll see in front of you this a small slide with all of the different rice dumplings from different cultures, and I'll just skim through them a little bit, and we'll start off with China's rice dumpling, which is actually very, very similar to Taiwan's. It's just the only main difference is that usually in Taiwan we have the south being more towards the sweeter side, and then the north will usually have the savory rice dumplings. But here it's, in China it's the opposite. And then we move along to Japan, where we have, and I'm sorry if I'm butchering any of these pronunciations, I'm trying my best. I think it's pronounced chimaki, and it's this kind of rice dumpling where you have rice and sticky rice. They powder it, and it tastes a little bit like a rice cake, right? And then we have Korean rice dumpling, which is called yakshi, and it's kind of sweet with sticky rice, chestnuts, pine nuts, and then we also have Singapore and Malaysia, where you have all these different kinds of rice dumplings. You have Nyonya rice dumplings. You have, because there are so many cultures, Hokkien, Cantonese, they all have these different kinds of rice dumplings, from the bakjang, from alkaline rice dumplings, or you even have these Malaysian rice dumplings, which I think are called ketupat, which, I mean, how can a rice dumpling, a fairly simple dish, and then it extends into all these different countries, and it becomes another version, another dish of its own. I find that fascinating, which is why I was so drawn to food and cooking in the beginning. And finally, I think I'm missing Vietnamese, which, wow, I did not know that Vietnamese had such a variety of different rice dumplings, from sweet to savory, and then sometimes it's different shapes. It can be cylindrical, it can be more like a cube, and wow, I was quite blown away by all these varieties. So I hope if any of you have had different varieties, or if there's maybe any factual thing I got wrong about the rice dumplings from your country, please do leave a comment, and if you have had different varieties, also please share with me your favorite ones and why you may like those given ones. Okay, so now that we got all the culture and introduction out the way, how about we now start to cook together? All right. So before we go anywhere, I'm going to run through all of these ingredients with you. So we have sticky rice, glutinous rice, then we have salted egg yolk, we have peanuts, we have some dried pickled radish, then we have some pork shoulder, and this is quite important because this is the type of cut we usually use for a rice dumpling. Then we have a dried mushroom, which we've rehydrated, and finally we have dried shallots. And then the other ingredients we have is soy sauce. We also have 5-spice powder. We have white pepper and some salt. And that is basically all you will be needing for today. Okay, I see someone saying yummy Taiwan Northern. Indeed, I think I am also more of a northern Taiwanese rice dumpling than I am a southern, which for many people might be a very bold statement. Okay, so now I know that all of you have pre-prepped a lot of the ingredients. For example, rehydrating the mushrooms. You probably also had to boil the rice dumpling leaves beforehand, and you kind of only need to pat them dry and set them aside, and we'll use them later on. Also, if you have not yet washed your rice, please wash your rice before we use it later on. All right, so I think that's about it, and we can move on to now starting to prep everything into our woks or pans. All right, so the first step we're going to do is actually take some of the mushrooms and we're going to stir fry them for a little bit. And so if you are ready, we'll start off. Okay, so you have to take your mushroom and we'll squeeze off any excess water, okay? So we'll do that for all of these. And depending on how big your mushroom is, we're going to cut it into different sizes. Okay, so for this mushroom, it's about a bit smaller than the palm of my hand. And if it's this size, you can just cut it into half. If it's even bigger than this one, maybe cut it into quarters. And if it's smaller than this, you might want to just leave it whole, because we do want to be able to taste that mushroom and have that chew when we eat our rice dumpling. Okay, so we're going to cut them in half. Okay, and after we cut them in half, we're going to heat up a pan, and this is the pan I'm going to use to braise the whole liquid and our meat and our mushrooms. So first of all, we're going to heat up the pan. About medium heat should be okay, and then we're going to add about a tablespoon of oil, not too much. And we're going to wait for it to heat up, and then we're going to saute the mushrooms for about 2 to 3 minutes, just so they lose a bit of that water, and then they can get some color on it. Okay. So how do we know the pan is prepped? It's basically, in the beginning, the oil is going to move around very slowly, but once it starts expanding and heating up, it will move around a lot more like water would in a pan. Okay, so if you tilt your pan and start to see that the oil is moving around very, very fluidly, that's how you know your pan is ready. All right, so my pan here, another way is you can put your hand and you can feel the kind of heat. So we're ready to go in with the mushrooms. So we'll just chuck them in and you'll hear that nice sizzling. Okay, I don't know if I should... Oh, I love the sound of sizzling. It's so good to the ears. Sometimes the enjoyment about cooking is not the cooking itself, but you hear these sounds and you taste these flavors, and then you get to combine all of these things in one single process, which I think is amazing. So as I said, we're going to saute them for about 2 to 3 minutes, just once. So what you want to do is you're going to leave them on the same side without actually stir frying them. We're just going to leave them flat on one side, and then once they're golden brown, we're going to flip them onto the other side, okay? Okay, so let me see, take a look at these mushrooms. Okay, we'll give them a minute. Okay, and once these mushrooms are nice and golden brown, we're going to remove them from the pan, and then in that same pan, what we're going to do is we're going to pan fry the pork shoulder, which we're going to cut right after we take out the mushrooms. Okay, so you can check your own mushrooms, and if they start to color, you can turn them around. So remember, we're about on medium-high heat right now. By the way, if along the whole process any of you have any questions, or if you have any doubts, if I'm going too slow, too fast, please leave a message. All right. Okay, so as you can see, here we have a beautifully golden brown mushroom, and we can turn it now. We can flip it around. Okay, so just flip it once. We don't need to stir fry it. Okay. And then in a minute, they're going to be done. This is the exact color you want on your mushrooms. All right. I think that's perfect. And then we're going to take them out into a separate bowl. And by the way, don't throw your mushroom water away. It's going to be very, very important for our braising process. Okay, so let's kill off the heat. I'm going to take out the mushrooms. And you can, if there's any excess oil, you can leave it in the pan, because we're going to use that excess oil to pan fry our pork. All right, so we can leave the mushrooms to a side. Right here, beautifully golden brown. And now we're going to take our pork shoulder. And as you can see, it's a thick piece, right? And we're going to cut the pork shoulders about into 12 pieces. Okay, you're going to cut it into 12 pieces, which is, you have a recipe for 12 rice dumplings, right? So I'm going to cut it into 4 to 5 centimeter thick slices. And as engineers, I think you probably have it down to the very millimeter on how exact that is. But I'm just going to go ahead here. And I'd say 4 to 5 centimeters thick, about this size. It's probably the size of the whole mushroom we saw beforehand. Okay, so we're going to cut all of these into, and if you feel like the pork is too long, too flat, you can even cut it through the center. Okay, and then cut it into a kind of a cube shape. So here we're going to cut our pork, and then I'm going to do the same here. And a small tip when cutting things, don't just go down with a knife. That's something that will use up a lot of your energy. If you want to be a bit more efficient, the way you do that is you slide forwards and downwards with your knife. All right, let the knife do the job, as Gordon Ramsay would say. I don't know if any of you watch Gordon Ramsay. Let the knife do the job, as it has that blade running through the meat. It will very easily slice through. Okay, so now we have the pan we used to fry the mushrooms in. Now we're going to turn back the heat. And again, medium-high heat. And we don't need to fully cook through the meat, as we're going to braise it for about 45 to 50 minutes. So we only need to, again, give it that golden brown color, and then we can move on to our next steps. Okay, so okay, it's already heated up. So now we throw in our pork, and we just let it color. Again, when you cook meat, remember, any meat really, fish, chicken, pork, I'm missing one. Oh, beef, sorry, yeah, beef. You don't want to keep flipping it around, you will never know when it's done. So you usually just leave it flat on one side, give it probably 3 minutes, and then you flip it around. Okay. Let's see how it looks. Okay, it's still not there yet. We're going to give it a minute more. And meanwhile, I want you all to have prepped the mushrooms we used before. We're going to have our soy sauce, our mushroom water, our 5-spice powder, all ready to throw in, and our rice wine as well, and our rice wine. Okay. Rice wine? Okay. So, oh, okay, I see it, sorry. It's too white for me to see. All right. So if you take a look at your meat, you only want to color it. And again, if you see some color, some crisp on it, that's perfect. Turn it around. Okay, perfect. So whilst we're here, we're gonna first, I'm gonna talk you through the process. We're gonna first throw in the mushrooms alongside the rice wine. And we're gonna let that rice wine completely evaporate before we do anything else. After the rice wine is evaporated, we're gonna add in the soy sauce, the 5-spice powder, and we're gonna add in the mushroom water, right? And we're going to let it all boil and beautifully merge together. Once we bring it to a boil, we're then going to add the fried shallots. Okay, so perfect. All right. And you know, just so we can have a little bit of fun, you know, when we practice the wok toss, a lot of people might find it difficult, but it's actually something you can practice regularly. Any time you're holding a wok and you want to practice a wok toss, what you do is it's basically all about the wrist. You know, you flick, and when your ingredients get to the top of the pan, you can flick it backwards, okay, as such. You flick it backwards. It's all about the wrist, and you go back and forth. And this is how you have fun when you cook, you know. Cooking is always about having fun, enjoying. And if you're not having fun, you might not be cooking the right way. Okay, so as you can see, all our pork is beautifully colored now. So we're going to go in with the mushroom. We're going to add in our rice wine. And as you can see, it's bubbling fiercely. And we're going to give it a toss so everything is mixed very well. Ooh. So we add in the rice wine not only to give it that bit of flavor, but it's also to take out any pork, you know, that very instinctive pork flavor that might appear from raw meat. Okay, so now that everything's well evaporated, we're going to add our mushroom water. We're going to add in our, oh my goodness, I'm so clumsy. We're going to add in some soy sauce. I'm going to add a bit more of that. And we're going to go in with our 5-spice. All right. Okay, so we're going to add a tiny bit more of soy sauce, which I very clumsily spilt. All right, maybe a tight tip more. Okay. Give it all a very nice mix. Right. Take a smell, take a smell. This is the reason why rice dumpling is so delicious, because as this is braising, we're going to compact all of those flavors into the mushrooms, into our pork as well, And then we're going to use this braising liquid for our rice, which is why it's so, so delicious. Okay, as it's bubbling fiercely now, we can turn the heat to low. Okay, turn the heat to low, and we can add our shallots now. Okay, we can add them all in. Again, we're going to give it a stir. And now we're going to let it simmer for about 45 minutes. So I'm going to time it as well, but we're all going to have it on for about 45 minutes. Okay, so let's set up the timer. 45 minutes, and we're going to let it beautifully cook. It's going to reduce down, it's going to condense in flavor, it's going to concentrate, and you guys need to just wait a little bit for that incredible smell to go all in. Okay, so now, while we have the braising liquid, I want to ask a question. Does anyone know why 5-spice is called 5-spice? Do any of you know the 5 spices in 5-spice? If you do, please share your answers with me. Okay. Right. So the 5 spices in 5-spice powder is basically cinnamon. It's then peppercorns. It's star anise. It's fennel seeds and cloves, the 5 spices. That's why it's called 5-spice powder. All right. So next we're going to move on to, oh, right. Okay, so remember, if you have a lid, gently put the lid on. I'm going to let it simmer. Otherwise, it might dry off too quickly, and you're going to need to be adding water on all the time. Okay, so next up, we have to take care of our dried radish and our peanuts. So we're going to go with the dried radish first, and you will want to have previously soaked them in hot water. Yeah? The reason why we soak them in in hot water is we want to take off a little bit of that saltiness. We want to take off a little bit of that saltiness, and then the color is less intense once we do that. Okay, so after we have immersed them in a tiny bit of hot water, which we have prepared here, just going to soak them, give them 3 minutes, and we're good to go. Okay. So whilst this is soaking in hot water, we are going to prepare what you need for the radish is another new pan where we're going to fry them for, again, to just give it a little color, a little flavor, because we're going to add some white peppercorns to the radish to give a little bit of that pop. Okay, and as you can see, it's already losing a little bit of that color. Okay, and for peanuts, the reason why we are going to fully cook them through and add a tiny bit of salt to it is because when we eat the rice dumpling, the texture we're going for is usually a very mild texture. We don't want any crunch. We don't want any, intense chew. So we're looking for a very soft and bland, like you bite into it and everything just collapses or melts in your mouth. So that's why we're going to fully cook through all of the peanuts. Okay, so now that this radish has been in for a couple of minutes, we're now going to take them out and we are going to squeeze them dry. We don't want any excess moisture. If you need to, you can pat it dry with some kitchen towel, as such. So, okay, here we have the dried radish, and we're going to turn on the pan. So we're gonna have, again, medium heat more or less. We're gonna add in a tiny splash of oil, just a tiny splash. We only have like a handful of dried radish. Ooh. Wow. Can you, if you can take a whiff of this amazing braising liquid that's going on right beside you. And it just smells incredible. I mean, how can a rice dumpling not be good? So, okay. So here we have, our pan is heating up. And bear with me, this is an induction heater. It's not as lively as our fire. So we're going to give it a minute. Right. So how's everyone doing? Am I going too fast? Am I doing okay? Is everyone still liking to cook? Is it still enjoyable? I hope it is. Okay. Okay. Okay, so back to our cooking. And again, you want to take a look at the oil. If it's flowing fluidly, we can start to cook. But right now, my oil is still quite rigid. Okay. So I also want to ask, did all of you have an easy time finding all of these ingredients? Or was it something that's very, very uncommon in your own country? I mean, I would imagine that if you probably have a kind of a Chinatown or a Chinese area with a Chinese supermarket, you might be able to find most of these ingredients, I would say. Okay. And if you did have difficulty, which one was the most annoying to find? I'm actually quite curious. My personal guess, I think, would be the dried radish, which I was born and raised in Spain, and I've never seen dried radish there before, ever. Okay, so now my pan's heated up. I'm going to take our radish, and in it goes into the pan. Okay, we're going to take another spatula, and we're just, again, going to give it a little color, tiny bit of flavor. Here we have some white pepper powder. Again, just a little kick to it. Nothing more, nothing less. Okay. So it's heating up nicely. Give it a nice stir, so you mix in all the white pepper powder into the radish. Okay. And as we are getting near the end of this white radish in the pan, you can just use the same container, and we're going to leave it to the side for later, because we're only going to use this once we are ready to assemble our rice dumpling. Okay. So again, you're looking for that color. You're looking for that color. So turn it around. It's looking nice. Okay. And then for the peanuts, you want to prepare yourself another small pot as such, where we're going to cook our peanuts. Okay, so have it prepared for when we finish our radish. Okay, this should be fine now. We don't need to stay on the radish for too long. So I'm going to kill the heat. And we're going to pour our radish into our container. and we will see our radish later on. All right, so now this pan we don't need anymore. And now we're going to go back to our peanuts. So what we are going to do, again, I'm going to walk you through the process of the peanuts. It's, first of all, we're going to have some water, which we're going to boil. And once we boil the water, we're going to add our peanuts in. We're going to cook them for about 20 minutes on medium-low heat. After we've given that 20 minutes, we're going to only then add the salt. As when we break down the peanuts, it's really when the peanuts are going to start taking in that salt flavor, okay? So we're going to break them down for 20 minutes, then we're going to cook it for an extra 10 minutes once we added the salt, and finally we're going to then kill the heat and leave it to rest for when we assemble our rice dumpling. Okay, so we're going to add in the water. And we can just turn the heat to maximum. So we're just going to bring it to a boil. Bring it to a boil. Okay. While we're waiting for the water to boil, I want to talk a little bit about our leaves right here. So later on, when we have our leaves, we will do one step, which is to cut the top and bottom off. We're going to cut the top and bottom off. First of all, the top is mainly so that when we are folding our rice dumpling, you'll see that it's going to make it look a little bit nicer. It won't have like that extra strand of leaf coming out the end. And then the ends we cut mainly because this is going to make preparing the rice dumpling a lot easier. This is very tough and tense, as you see, so we want to cut that tense off. So when we fold, it's not going to obstruct our folding. Okay? Right. So you see here our water is basically boiling. I don't know if any of you might be wondering, but I'm Spanish, but both my parents are Taiwanese. So I was born and raised in Spain, but my parents are Taiwanese. So then how do I speak English? Because Spanish people cannot speak English. Like, I don't know if any of you have met Spanish people, but most of them really cannot speak. I'll get to that in a moment. My water's boiling. I'm a bit too chatty sometimes. Okay, so we're going to take our peanuts, and we're just going to pour them in. And now, once our peanuts are in, we're going to turn the heat down to medium-low. So if you're using an induction heater, you want, if it's about 10, power of 9 or 10, you can go 3 to 4, maybe even 5 if you're feeling adventurous. So we're just going to leave it here bubbling for about 20 minutes. Okay, so here I have my own watch, and I'm going to time it for 20 minutes. 20 minutes. Okay, so now that this is bubbling, we can get back to why I speak English. And the reason is because when I grew up in Spain, I went to a British international school, hence why I have this kind of British accent. Okay, so our braising liquid has still around half an hour to go, and it's coming along very nicely. And if it gets too dry, as mine is, you can always add a little bit of water to it, okay? So I'm just going to take a little bit of water. Tiny bit dry, so do check on your braising liquid right now. You never want it to go fully dry. You want it to be quite not thick even, but just slightly sticking to your spoon, to your spatula, but never dry. Okay, so we're going to give it still has about maybe 20 minutes to go, I'd say, but the flavor's coming along nicely. Okay, So I'm going to leave it there, and here we have our our peanuts cooking. And okay, so now whilst we're here, if you all can take your own rice dumpling leaves and give it a smell. I don't know if any of you have used these leaves before, but when you steam them or cook them, actually most of the smell coming into the room is mostly this like just rice dumpling leaf smell. And it's very, very potent, which is also another reason why we wash them beforehand, is to get rid of that, of course, dirt and whatever there may be, but also to get rid of a bit of that strong smell. Because even if we do wash it, we then have this leaf flavor immersed with our own rice to make it very, very flavorful. I see a question now, which is, any common points between Spain and Taiwan food? Wow. That is such a good question, honestly. I've been asking this question myself probably for most of my life. And I can say that one of the biggest common areas is that they both love garlic a lot. Taiwanese people love garlic, and Spanish people live for garlic too. It's one of the most common and used ingredients. In Spain we have olive oil, garlic, and onion being the three most common. In Taiwan and a lot of Chinese cuisine we have garlic, we have scallions or green onions, and we have ginger. So the garlic overlaps, which is why one of the most probably well-known Spanish dishes is garlic shrimp, which in Spanish is called masalajillo. And this is a dish that Taiwanese people just love because of that garlic. And and then another thing is, I also think both Taiwan being an island and surrounded by seas, Spain is surrounded by 3 different seas actually. So seafood is a big, big thing there, and it's really, really fresh. So when Taiwanese people learn about Spain and its seafood, the first thing, of course, you think about is seafood paella, which is, this delicious, I keep saying delicious, but it's just insanely good. Do you think a fried chicken store would be popular in Spain? Oh man, you guys really have good questions. Honestly, I would say depends on how you market it. And this is from a strategy standpoint, because I would say flavor-wise, they really enjoy a good Kentucky Fried Chicken. So KFC is a big thing there. But if you're going to go the fast food route, or you want to have a store, you want to really tell a story in terms of, it's not just any old fried chicken, it's Korean fried chicken, or it's fried chicken from, I don't know, Taiwan. And why is it good? You have to differentiate yourself from KFC. Most fried chicken places anywhere are better than KFC. That's just, the way things are. Okay, so I love those questions, and feel free to ask any more questions you might have. Okay, so, all right. I want to ask a question to any of you out there, but especially probably Malaysians or Singaporeans, which I think a lot of you are probably looking in the chat right now. And is Nyonya dumpling a big thing there? Because the reason why I ask is because I went on an exchange program to Singapore for about half a year, and I actually never had a Nyonya dumpling while I was there. And that's funny because I went around and I ate all kinds of food. And I went to Malaysia to have all kinds of food, and it was all incredibly, just breathtakingly yummy. But I didn't have a Nyonya dumpling, which was, when I was doing research, I was like, yeah, I know Nyonya cuisine, and I have had other dishes, but not a rice dumpling. Yeah. Okay. So we have to give this about another 15 minutes, and our braising liquid should also have another 20 minutes. And whilst we wait, we can go ahead and start cutting the leaves. So we're going to take a pair of scissors, and you don't need to cut too much, probably like, I'd say, from the stem here, probably take about 4 centimeters, and take a cut, and just chop it off, straight line. And then we can take the top of the leaf, again, 4 or 5 centimeters, and chop it off. And we're going to do these for all of our leaves. And again, I'll repeat myself just so we remember this, is that we are trying to get rid of this really stern and firm ends. And then the top is mainly to get rid of that extra flap that might come around when we are actually making the rice dumpling. Okay, so this is how the rice dumpling leaf should look like once you cut it. Nice and round. Okay, perfect. So we're going to take all of our leaves and we're going to do the same thing. So top and bottom off. Top and bottom off. Have any of you actually made rice dumplings before? Because, you know, I've had them ever since I was young, but I didn't learn how to make them until I was a lot older. I mean, it's such a classic thing where you're like, oh yeah, my grandma, my grandma makes like these dumplings, these rice dumplings, but you only ever eat them. And you're like, oh yeah, it's just something you have. But you never think about how you cook them, you know? But yeah, have any of you actually made them before? I'm curious. Nyonya dumpling is very popular and available all year round in Singapore. Yeah, okay, that's great. I mean, maybe I was just a bit blind to the fact that Nyonya dumpling is everywhere. Okay, and then, there's a shop that is famous worldwide from Taiwan, which is Ding Tai Fong, right? I think it's in most countries that you guys are in. So they also serve rice dumplings, which are actually very, very good in my opinion. And they serve both savory and sweet. And then sweet dumplings are usually made from red bean paste. Okay. Okay, the peanuts coming in nicely. And do check if the heat for your peanuts is okay. And if the water dries off, do add in more water to it. And you want to see a slight bubbling in the peanuts. You don't want to see it completely still. Right. So you're going to take all of these leaf scraps and you can just chuck them away. Okay. And then I know that for rice dumplings, especially I think in Japan and Korea, you have it, in Japan it's I think the 5th of May, which is where you have your version of timaki. Please correct me if I'm saying it wrong. I'm hoping my Spanish style pronunciation is not too off. And then I know the Koreans have it January 15th, according to the lunar calendar. And that's just me showing off that I've actually done some research and I learnt it off by heart. So please applaud, give me a round of applause if you're in front of the camera, and even though I don't see you, I feel your energy. So thank you very much. Oh, wow. I mean, you know, when you cook this braising liquid, something spectacular that happens throughout the process is that the flavor keeps constantly changing. Like the layers upon layers, it gets created through that slow cooking process. I mean, just take the lid off and you can just admire this braising liquid going, like, look at the bubbling. I mean, it's like like, you know, I used to watch a lot of cartoon when I was a kid, and sometimes it just looks like you're this witch, you know, making your magical cooking pot, which then becomes an amazing dish out of nowhere. Sometimes, as a cook, you see yourself more as a vessel, you know, and the ingredients are the star of the show. You're not the star. It's actually the ingredients that makes the dish. We're just that person who puts the things together, and then it suddenly just becomes this incredible thing. Okay, so I'll leave it be to let it keep doing its magic. And okay, so careful. I turned up the heat, and now it's bubbling a little bit too much, so we're going to turn it off. And as cooks, you have to constantly be on a lookout to make adjustments. So there's never one way of making things. There's also not a correct way of making things. So when I always do any events, or I go do, for example, a cooking class as such, I usually tell people that I never want people to call me teacher or something like that. I always say, just call me Ricky. And I don't want all of you guys to see it as me teaching you how to cook. It's more of I've come across this wonderful dish called a rice dumpling, and I really want to share the recipe which I know of to make it with you guys, so that you can also taste that, those flavors and that culture from this dish. Okay. Right. So let me check on the braising liquid. Okay. It's even with the lid on, it might get dry. So I'm just going to give it a little bit more water, as there's still about 10 minutes to go. So I'm still going to take a little bit of, thank you so much for Miki. Oh my God, this is Miki Oguro. I'm trying my best, but thank you for praising me on my pronunciation. My only contact with Japanese culture is mainly through comics or manga and things like that. So I can only imitate some very funny sounding noises. And I just want to check along with all of you guys. Are any of you having any issues with your cooking? Is everything coming along nicely? Or is there any step you would want me to repeat, or any other questions? It doesn't have to be about today's cooking. It can also be about just cooking in general, maybe Spain or Taiwan. Yeah. Or I mean, if I do come across any interest, and you have an interesting question you might want to ask me, that's completely fine as well. Okay. Right, so, salted egg yolk. Talking about this delicious, this is also something that's very, very Asian in general, like towards the Chinese, Southeast Asia. And one of my favorite things ever is also actually from Singapore, and it's the salmon fish skins that they make crisp. I think it's from Irvin's salted egg fish skin. Oh my goodness, it's salty, it's like, has that intense egg yolk flavor, and then it's with this, just fish skin. I mean, I'm just lost for words, I can't even say it. But this is such a common ingredient as well. Alright, so the peanuts have been going on, okay, we'll give them about 3 to 4 minutes, and then we can add in the salt, and we'll give it another 10 minutes. Right, okay, let me check on the braising liquid. It's going good. And then today's rice, as a lot of you obviously know very well, is sticky rice, glutinous rice. And there's just so many ways of cooking this rice. And today is one of them, which I think the most, the biggest characteristic of sticky rice is that obviously it's sticky, but then the texture, it kind of melds together in this really nice in whatever shape you give it. And then when it goes into your mouth, it's whole at the same time, but it's also, you can eat and taste the different, like every single grain of rice you can taste, which is, I think, is a very cool texture to have. Okay. And today we are actually making a style, that is very common, that is like readily available ingredients, but we are more towards the southern side, and this is because of the way we're going to cook it later on, which is by boiling it. And then so there's two types of cooking this. One is boiling it, the other one is steaming it, and the flavor will come together very differently, and the texture is also slightly different. Okay, and we won't, after we finish the process of the peanuts and the braising liquid, everything is going to come along very, very quickly. Will only take maybe 15 minutes more after these things are settled, because it's just going to, we're going to start the making the dumpling process, and then how we're going to tie it and everything, so we can then make perfectly nice looking rice dumplings. Okay, and after we've wrapped all of these rice dumplings, we're going to start boiling them, and then we're going to show you, we're going to open a few rice dumplings for you guys, so you can see, you know, if you want to plate it, or what kinds of condiments we use. We have like peanut powder, we have spicy sauces. You can also go quite sweet if you want to. It's all about taste. Like eating in general, it's just, everything is about your own taste, your own likings. So just whenever someone tells you something you're doing is wrong, you shouldn't listen to them, even if it's a chef. Okay, so this is ready now, and we are, sorry, the 20 minutes have passed, but now we're going to add some salt. Okay, so we're going to add a little bit of salt to it, and we're going to add a bit more of water, because it's dried out quite a bit. So we're going to let it cook for another 10 minutes. Another 10 minutes. Just a bit, just a teeny bit. Okay, there we go. Okay, and then our braising liquid is basically done. It's basically done. And I just want to show you kind of the texture of the braising liquid that we actually want. So right now you can see that it's still soupy, right? But it does have body to it. You can see that it does have body. It's not just purely liquid. You can see it has it's almost creamy and like a sauce more than just pure liquid. Okay. So I'm going to take the lid off, because I want it to really reduce down for the last 5 minutes, and it can really take on a packed, intense flavor with all that soy sauce and the fried shallots. Okay. Okay, so we're all doing good? Yeah, I'm taking no questions or no comments as a good indication of how everyone is going. Right. So, let me see. Okay, these peanuts are looking quite nice. Okay. 5 minutes. Good. So, take this away, and I'm going to start prepping some of these. If you happen to have a stand as such, I want you can start taking it out because we're very near the end of our cooking process, and we're going to start making things now. So if you need to clear out some space, you may do so now. And you can start bringing in all of your leaves. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and take out everything from the braising liquid now. So we are going to take out only the mushrooms and the meat, and we're going to reserve it for later, because when we're doing the filling, we want to put them in separately. All right, so this is nicely set. And you can take maybe a plate, and we're going to do it with some chopsticks, which is a bit easier. So we're just going to take them out. And you can feel a bit of that meat. It's already looking nice and tender. It's not as thick as before. And we're really going to cook it completely and thoroughly once we boil it in the end. So don't worry if it still seems a little bit tough. That's quite normal. Okay. So careful not to take too many of the fried shallots out with you, as we do want to leave the fried shallots in, as we're going to now cook the rice in all of this braising liquid. If you don't have chopsticks, you can use some clippers or any other utensil you might find around your kitchen. Right, so this is for later on. So we'll reserve it right here. And now, as you can see, this is the final form of our braising liquid. It's already cooked down even more, and it's quite thick now. It's quite thick. And this is, you can scrape down those sides, as that contains all the flavor. It contains all the flavor. Okay, give it a nice mix. And now we are going to bring in the rice. So here we have the rice. We're going to drain it. I had it sitting in water so it didn't completely dry out. Okay, rinse off the water. And then without killing off the heat, we're just going to dump the rice in. So in we go with the rice. Not wasting any grain. Right, perfect. And I'm going to bring the heat up a little bit. Okay? And we're just going to mix and completely combine that flavor from the rice into the braising liquid. So the reason we actually cook it and not just mix it is because we want it to blend in together before we start putting it into the actual rice dumpling leaf. And it's a similar thing that, for example, again, I'm talking from my own experience here, whether it be Spanish cuisine or even Malaysian, Singaporean cuisine, where when you make flavored rice, whether it be like chicken rice or paella, you want to stir fry the rice in a pan before you start fully cooking it. Okay, and now in with the rice, we have a bit of white pepper powder, and we have the salt. So in goes both of them. Sometimes the salt will stick due to humidity. In it goes. And then we also want now to bring in the radish. Maybe you forgot about it, but we also prepared some dried radish. And in it goes. And again, what we want to do now is just combine it all together. So stir it all up nicely And this is the base flavor for our rice dumpling. So now I want you to imagine the reasons the rice dumpling tastes as such. Is this flavor from the braised liquid has now combined with some pepper powder, with some radish. It has combined with our rice, and then this rice is going to be cooked on the outside with a flavorful leaf that has a hint of smell and extra depth to the dish, which is why you have flavors hitting from all sides. You have from the leaf, you have braising liquid, the radish, the white pepper, the five spice. So it's a lot of different layers, and layers is what makes a dish so beautiful. Okay, so this peanut is done. So I'm going to kill off the heat. We're going to leave it here for a second. And this rice we are going to take out and put it in a bowl. So prepare yourself probably a spoon, and we can make sure that we have a spoon to be ready with our rice. Okay, we're nearing the most important and difficult thing I would say about rice dumpling, which is actually making them, folding them together. So, okay, I'll clear off the table a little bit. Here we have all the ingredients we need, and the only remaining thing are the peanuts, which I mean, they're done. So if you're in a rush, you don't need to let them sit for a long time. Okay. Right. So I want you to mentally prepare for what's about to happen next, even though it's difficult. I mean, I don't know if engineers are usually good at handcrafting, but I know that a lot of them are. So, okay, we're going to take out the mushrooms too. Mushrooms? Why do I keep calling peanuts mushrooms? It's just such a, I don't know what's going on in my mind right now. I'm probably too excited for what's about to happen next. Okay, so I'm going to take out the mushrooms actually with a spoon. Perfect. So this is all of it. This is every single ingredient that is going to go into our rice dumpling today. We have egg yolks, which we haven't touched since the beginning, our cooked peanuts, then we have our braised mushroom and our pork shoulder. Finally, we have the rice with our white radish, dried white radish with this sticky rice. Okay, so as you can see, I've already assembled 4 of these, and now I'm going to do 2 of them with you. And I want all of you to look really, really carefully, because it does take a few to master it. I would be very impressed if this is the first time you make it, and you actually succeed the first time. It is really impressive, not going to lie. When I was learning, it took me probably 4 or 5 tries before I actually got to make a rice dumpling that, I mean, it didn't look this good, but it was okay. It was okay. So what we usually do is, first off, I want you to take a look at your leaf, and you're going to see 2 sides of the leaf, the inner side and the outside. How do you tell them? The outer side usually has a very clear stem going through it, and the inner side will not have the stem sticking out. Okay? So we're going to take 2 leaves, and we're going to have the outer side of the leaf on the outside. So we're going to take a big leaf and a small leaf. So you can take 2 leaves that maybe at least have to look similar in size as these 2 do. The one on if you have a bigger one and a smaller one, take the bigger one and have it on the outside. You're going to stack them together, as such. And then what we're going to do is we're going to have our thumb, and we're going to put it probably a third of the way up. And now watch carefully. We're going to fold it and turn inwards. Turn inwards. So it's kind of like a fold up and fold to the right. So we're going to have like a L shape now. And then once you have the fold, you bring all of it up. Oops, sorry. You're going to bring all of it up as such. So I'll go once again, just in case. You take 2 leaves, you stack them up, 1/3 of the way up from the bottom, fold once and inwards, and then roll it in. Roll it in. Okay, roll it in. And then you're going to see that you have kind of a triangular cup. You have a triangular cup. So you're going to hold the cup as such, because this is what's going to collect all of the rice and our ingredients. Okay? So don't worry about size, as size doesn't always matter. It can be big, it can be small, as long as you are able to handle it and you can actually make the rice dumpling. So first off, we're going to take some rice, maybe just a spoonful of rice. We're going to put it to the bottom, and careful not to stack it, okay? Careful not to stack it, because you don't want the rice to be too compact. If it's too compact, when we're boiling it later on, it won't boil all the way through. So we're just going to layer it in nicely without pressing too hard. Okay, so once we have the bottom layer, we're going to take some chopsticks, which I have here, and we're going to add 1 piece of meat. If you're feeling adventurous, you can add more than 1. And then you can add a few peanuts. And then you can add 1 salted egg yolk. And then you're going to layer it with more rice. And now this is important. You want to always keep this shape of the hand. So you always keep this triangular pointedness to the leaf. So. And anyone, do stop me if you're having any trouble or issue folding the rice dumpling. I can go again. I can do it again. It's no problem. So now comes the most important part. You want to layer it well so it's nice and flat, but also maintaining that triangular shape. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take our fingers and we're going to fold it as such. Okay, that's what we're going to do. We're going to fold it. So I'm going to do it once so you can see, and then I'm going to do it again. So we're going to fold it forward as such, and then you're going to have 2 flaps on the side. So once you fold it forward, it still looks triangular. And then you have these 2 flaps on the side, on either side, as such. And you're going to push down either side. Remember to always maintain that triangularness. And if this is not flat, you can slightly give it a more pointed shape to it, so it's nice and triangular. And then once you have the sides down, you want to collect a point in the front as such. So it's still pointy and triangular. And then you're going to take the forward nose of our rice dumpling and you're going to turn it towards your right. And then you're going to collect that nose at the end. And then now we have a triangular rice dumpling. That's how it should look. And then the reason why we cut off the ends is because of this exact point. We don't want an extra flap over here, so that's why we cut it off. Okay, so now the next very, very important step, it's the actual wrapping of the rice. I was suddenly thinking in Chinese and I was thinking in Spanish, but I couldn't think of the word wrap in English. So that was a weird moment, but it actually happens a lot to me, which is good and bad, I guess. Okay, So we're going to take the rice dumpling and we're going to wrap it perpendicular, 90 degrees, to the lines you can see on the leaf. So we're going to take, now, so go ahead and take one of these strings, and we're going to wrap it from the far side. We're going to turn it 2 times. I'm going to walk you through the process, and then I'm actually going to do it. So we're going to wrap it 2 times. And in the second one, we're going to tighten it. We're really going to tighten it so it makes a dent. And then we're going to do 1 knot, a very simple, just a simple knot as such. And then the second knot we're going to do is going to be taking out like how you would tie your shoes. You're going to take out an ear like a present, and we're going to tie it that way. So only 1 ear. And that way, when we are finished steaming it, we can just pull it, and it opens magically. Okay, so now I'm going to do it for real. So watch carefully, and I'll do it again. I'll do another one, but watch carefully, and if you have any questions, please do ask and send a message. So we're going to wrap it once, and on the second time, I'm going to really tighten it. Okay, I'm going to now, I usually first do the knot, and then I tighten it, so I make sure nothing comes loose. Okay, so I will go around with the string I'm holding here, go around the one that's attached to the stand, go around once, and it will go in. So a simple knot, And I'm going to hold it here, and I'm going to really pull. So you want to see an actual dent on your dumpling as such. As if it's not tight enough, it will fall apart when cooking it, okay? So you really have to give it that tightness. And then you will put your thumb on that knot, and we're going to go again. We're going to go around the string that's attached to the stand, but this time, rather than just putting the whole string in, we're just going to create this kind of circular present on it. Okay, so remember, really tighten it. It sometimes comes loose. Okay, so you're going to go around, and again, I think it might be hard to follow for the camera, but here we go. You're going to put this string in, and you're going to take it from the other side. I'm having difficulty, and I've done it 1,000 times. So you take your ear in, and then you pull. And you create this small little loop over here, yeah? And mine is coming apart. Okay, really pull that tightness in. And there it goes. So you see this dumpling, if it stays, it's good. If it stays, it's good. Okay. Wait, I'm not too sure what's going on here. Let me give it another try. It's coming apart. Okay. So I'm trying to grab hold of the ear here. And now it's tightened. Okay, that's good. Now, do you see, this is what you want. You want to see this ear, and on the other side you have a string. So when it finishes cooking, you can just tug on the string, and it will just come apart. Okay, so now we're going to do it again. Take a small leaf and a big leaf as such. Stack it. Make sure the outside of the leaf is on the outside, where the stem is sticking out. Okay, and then we're going to take a third of the way up, fold it up, fold it to the side, bring it in. Am I going too fast? I'll go slower. A third of the way up, fold in, and tuck it in as such. Tuck it in, and you create this small cup like this. Once you create the small cup, you put a spoonful of rice, tiny bit more. You're going to take all of the ingredients, half a mushroom, piece of meat, salted egg yolk, and then some peanuts. Maybe 3, 4, and you're going to top it off with more rice, as such. Remember, don't let go of your shape. Okay. And don't tighten it too much, just put everything in place. Put everything in place. Okay, that's perfect. Give it that shape. And now we're going to fold. We're going to fold, put the flaps down, and turn that last nose towards your right. So hold your shape, push forward, as such. You see the 2 flaps now, and you push the flaps down, as such. Remember to hold the shape at the back so it's pointed out. Now you take up the nose, the pointed nose, and you're going to wrap it to your right. Wrap it to your right, as such. And then you have, again, a rice dumpling. Okay? And now what we're going to do is we're going to wrap the rice dumpling with a string. So again, perpendicular to your to the lines you can see on the leaf. So you hold the shape, you take the string, you wrap it around once, you wrap it around a second time, and then you're going to make a knot. The first knot is a simple knot. You go around and in, round and in, and you pull. Really tighten it. Once it's tightened up, now we're going to go a second knot. You're going to go around and in, and we're going to look for that tiny ear, which is over here. Pull it through and tighten it with the top string. Really tighten it and tug it. And there we go. And here we have around 5 to 6 dumplings. That's it. How has everyone done with the first and second dumpling? Has there been any questions, any difficulties? I know it might be a bit daunting and weird, and it's probably something, unless you're making a rice dumpling, you won't be kind of doing these maneuvers and putting the flaps down, wrapping it, etc. But do let me know any questions. Thank you so much for saying that I'm really cute. You're cute too. You're very cute too. Thank you very much. So I guess that's it. That's it for the process of rice dumplings. So again, I want to make sure that no one has any issues with how to wrap the dumpling, how to maneuver the folds and everything. Are we okay? Are we good? All right. Seems that everyone looks okay. If that's all good, next is the cooking of the dumplings. So what you're going to need is a cooking pot. And here you have a pot, and you want to fill it with water. Okay? And how much water do you actually need? Well, you don't need to go by amount, but you need to go by the water which can fill and go over the rice dumplings. Once the rice dumplings are put into the pot, you want to be able to cover. You want to cover the whole thing, okay? Because if it's not covering the whole rice dumpling, it's then going to not be able to cook the top part. So you really want to make sure it covers everything. So we're going to take, and we're going to boil it from when it's cold. When the water is cold, we're going to cook it. Okay, so you take the whole string of dumplings, we're going to dump it in the water. And then you're going to make sure that all the dumplings are covered by water. If you see any of the rice dumplings popping out, add a little bit of water. like here, I might add a tiny bit more, okay? Just a tiny bit more. So I'll take a cup and add a tiny bit more. And you only need to cook the rice dumpling till it boils. So that can be on medium-high heat. And once it boils, you're going to leave it with a lid on for another about 50 minutes. Okay? Simmering, slowly simmering. So you want to make sure all the dumplings are in. Then we're going to cover it. Cover it. See you later. They're going to be delicious. So let's give them some time, and we're going to so again, let it boil. Once it boils, you can bring down the heat to about medium, low, and then leave it simmering for about 50 minutes. And then you can take them out, let them dry off, drip off a tiny bit, and we're done. We're good to go. You can open them up, give them a smell, taste them, and all the goodness. So, okay, that is the whole process. Are there any questions? No? Okay. So now we can move on to actually presenting you with some of the dumplings. So I'm going to take all of this away, remove it out of the way. Okay. So a few things we need for dumplings is so these are not the only things you can add to rice dumpling, but it's some of the most common we use. So first off, we have peanut powder, which is very commonly found. Then we have a cilantro. Wait, no, cilantro is a Spanish word. This is called coriander leaves. And this is just to heighten the flavor a little bit. So that herb and strong cilantro flavor, we can add it on top. And then this is a Taiwanese sauce, which is sweet and spicy. But it's very sweet and not too spicy, a little bit spicy. It's a little bit spicy. Okay, so here I have pre-prepared one of the dumplings, and okay, I wanna. Sorry. Okay. And then this is. We actually prepared a lot of them beforehand, and so we're just going to showcase some of them. Okay, so I'm just going to. So as you can see, this is. It's as the way we wrapped it, so you can just pull on one of these strings, as such, and it just comes off perfectly. And it's not hard to take the string off, and there it goes. That's how you know you wrapped it around very well. And then we're going to take it out. Oh, and look at this perfectly shaped rice dumpling. It's nice and rectangular, and you can really see that tight knot around. Okay, so we're going to take it out, place it on top. And now, usually, we can just layer a bit of sauce on the top. And if you want want it to come across looking quite nice, you can let gravity do its job, and you can just drip it down from the top and see where the sauce goes. So it will fall down on different directions, and you can go spoon by spoon. So it will come across nicely. So you can just drip it, let it drop naturally, like a volcano kind of. Okay? And once you have sauce dripping down the sides of it, you then want to layer it with some peanut powder. And just slightly tip some peanut powder on it. And finally, top it with a crown, which is our beef. And that's it. That's just a cute rice dumpling, no overcomplications. And what do you guys think? I hope all of you will have the chance to make this delicious rice dumpling perfectly. Okay. Right. So again, I want to repeat myself because I really hope that if any of you have any questions, please do ask along. And before we go, I have a very pending question I want to ask all of you. For any of you who've actually had rice dumplings before, what kind of condiments or sauces do you usually like to go with it? Some people really like sweet with savory or savory with sweet, so they'll combine the two different types of sauces to play with that flavor. But other people really like just savory with savory, so they'll just go savory rice dumpling with maybe thick soy sauce or oyster sauce or different types. So what kind of sauce or condiment do you like to use to top your rice dumpling? That's my first question. Okay, so please leave a comment in the Zoom message and tell us your favorite condiment or sauce. Oh, I'm being told that you can actually vote for your favorite condiments and sauces. Yeah, the voting is in the comments. Oh, okay. There's someone who says no additional sauce for me. I would say that actually I can very much see why some people don't like additional sauces on it, because it's already packed with flavor, and if you add enough seasoning to it, you actually don't need an extra sauce to it. Yeah. Okay, and then has everyone voted? Right. So let us see what everyone has voted. Oh, okay, sorry. I'll give you guys 10 more seconds. I'm a bit too eager to see what you guys have voted for. I think me personally, I am such a big fan of sweet and savory and spicy all at the same time, which is why a lot of Southeast Asian food I love for that exact reason, like Thai food, Vietnamese food. Malaysian food is more on the stronger side, like very punching flavor, which I'm in love with. But I'm even more of a fan of that like combination of different flavors. Okay, let us see. Ooh, sweet chili sauce. Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly the one we have here. Sweet and spicy sauce. And then we also have the second highest one is thick soy sauce, which is, for those of you who might not know, is soy sauce, but it's condensed and it's thickened and it has a more sweeter touch to it. Okay, and then peanut powder, of course. I think it's such a lovely smoothness to it. Okay, last 5 seconds for the vote. Okay, you have 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, we're done. We're good. Wow, over 50% liked the sweet and spicy one. That's crazy. Have you tried boiling the dumpling using the pressure cooker? That is something I have not ventured across. The reason being, I do think that it would speed up the process. But at the same time, you cannot control it as well, as you would need to know your pressure cooker very well, in the sense that each pressure cooker works a bit differently. So if you cook or boil your rice dumplings for an hour, might not mean that it might be your pressure cooker is 15 minutes, it might be your friend's pressure cooker is 20 minutes. So I usually like to just boil it and look at it and know, is it done or not? Yeah. But I'm for sure it's a method that would work. For sure a method that will work. Okay. And so a pressure, I'm wondering, how come, is it because you feel like waiting an hour for those rice dumplings is maybe a bit too long? Because you've already needed to maybe spend an hour and a half making them? Is that why you want to speed up the process? Okay, shorten the time, yes, exactly. Okay, I understand that, yeah. So it would probably need a bit of getting to know your pressure cooker. Okay, so now we have the second question, and it's how hard or difficult did you find making rice dumplings? And I want it to be from a standpoint of the first time making the rice dumplings. So the first time you ever made rice dumplings, how difficult was it for you? So maybe give it, is it a scale of 1 to 5, or is it a scale of 0 to 100? Like 1 to 5, okay. So 5 being very difficult. I think as in the previous prepping of all the other ingredients is not that difficult, but the actual folding and the actual wrapping, I would give it a 4, a solid 4 or 4.5, because it's just not that easy. And then, the funny thing is, you look at, when I went to learn it from my grandma, I would look at my grandma, and she's done it just millions of times. So she would just go, oh, this is how you fold it, and you do this, and then you wrap it. She'd finish in 30 seconds, and I'm like, Grandma, can you please slow down? I have no idea what you've done. So I'm hoping that by slowing down the process, it did make it a little less confusing for all of you who have made it. I feel like it's not just difficult to copy Grandma's flavor, it's just nearing impossible. I feel like Grandma's flavor it's not just about the recipe itself, it's about that nostalgia, and that you taste that flavor, and you just transport to like your childhood memories. So we'll have a countdown for the last final voting, which is 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, that's it for the votes. That's great. Let us see. So we have 3 4s and 5s, and it's actually quite spread out. Wow, there's some people who think it's easy. Oh man, I'm really impressed, because it was so hard for me. It might be because I'm not that talented in terms of arts and crafts. I'm quite slow sometimes with arts and crafts, so it took me a while. Should get more exercise after the holiday. Grandmas, no matter what culture, you always have them trying to feed you food till you really you have difficulty breathing. That's how much food they want to give you. They're always like, oh, you're young, you need to eat. And you're always the youngster, right? Like, no matter how old you are, your grandma always sees you as the baby, which is nice, I guess. Sometimes you forget how nice it feels like to be loved that way by a grandma. Okay, so yeah, here in Taiwan we eat these rice dumplings for the Dragon Boat Festival, which in Chinese is 端午节, and it goes the legend of this person who committed suicide in the river. So the people there, locals, in order to stop the fish from actually eating the body of the person, they created these rice dumplings so that the fish would eat these instead. And so from that legend, it has become this national dish. And it's a dish that's now in so many different cultures. And okay, so before we all go, I would really love to have a memory with all of you guys, and if you will just take a picture with me. And so you don't have to turn on your camera, so you don't need to do that, but I just want to take a picture with all of you, and I hope all of you can share your pictures with us later on. And I want to wish all of you a very happy Dragon Boat Festival. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay, so we're going to take a picture. Okay, ready? I'm hoping you're all smiling like I do. I mean, I want to just take a bite, you know, eat it. So. Yes, good. Bye, see you guys.有人有那个写说要。